She actually is the reason I met my husband, but that's another story. But she told me about the position at Dominion Energy, and Chuck Penn, another one of my mentors and good friends. And we were active in the Hampton Roads Black Media Professionals together back in the day. Slim, when you remember, we had the Excel Awards and everything at the Harrison Opera House. So he was actually leaving, and he was a spokesperson for Dominion Energy. So I interviewed for the job and got the job. And that was just another amazing experience. Never saw myself in corporate America, never saw myself as an elected official, but one thing just kind of led to another. And I love the fact that Dominion Energy also boosts all communities. It's important to us to give back to the communities where we live, work, and play. And Dominion does a lot of grants for K through 12 schools, for higher education, for nonprofits, and community events, and all of that appealed to me greatly. So I left the Norfolk Sheriff's Office and went to work for Dominion Energy, and that was 14 plus years ago now.
Has it been 14 years already?
One on my 15th year.
Oh my goodness.
Yep.
Time does move on, does it not?
It really does. It's kind of like a roll of toilet paper. The closer you get to the end, the faster it goes.
The faster it goes, that's for sure. But Bonita, this is just evident of the fact that you are a master storyteller, because you just keep people engaged and interested in what you're talking about, And I have to get your father's book, because I grew up knowing about Robert Smalls, because I spent all my summers in Beaufort, South Carolina. And Robert Smalls is buried at Tabernacle Baptist Church, which was my mother's home church. And
yes.
When we go there. So I must get your father's book and read up on that portion of his life that I did not know. But I did grow up knowing about Robert Smalls and all about his life since being
amazing
a part of the Beaufort family. So it's encouraging. Read that book. I'm sure is very interesting, and I'm just looking forward to getting a copy for myself.
It's fascinating. I will get you a copy, Leah, and I will have Dad sign it for you.
Please have him to sign it. I would love it, and I would be the envy of all my relatives in South Carolina. Believe me.
Awesome.
So, Bonita, let me ask you one question. When you were reporting, did you ever face a tough situation where you had to make an ethical decision about reporting on that situation?
That's a good question. A couple of things come to mind. My sheriff that I worked for at the Norfolk Sheriff's Office had gotten in some trouble before I came to work there. It was a credit card scandal, if you all recall. Mm-hmm. And I covered that some as a reporter. And he felt like one of the reasons why he hired me is because he felt like I was an objective reporter that didn't just trash him. One of the other stations did like a 7-minute documentary on it, which just was scathing against him. And the average news story was 1 minute and 20 seconds. So 7 minutes was an unheard of amount of time to cover a story and to cover a crime that he was accused of and not convicted of. Mm-hmm. And he just said to me after I worked for him that he always felt like I did a fair job. I'm going to report the facts, but I'm also going to give him a chance to respond. Mm-hmm. And I felt like as a reporter, I never felt too torn, because I felt like my job is to tell both sides of the story, or all sides of the story when there are more than two sides, and let people figure things out for themselves. That's part of what a democracy is all about. Like we were talking about earlier, you share the facts and then people can figure out for themselves what they believe. So I never felt too torn. One story I covered, one day I did actually, sorry, you guys, somebody that wants to say hello to you all. Just popping in.
Hey, y'all.
Hello, how you doing, young man? How are you?
Good.
What's up, Coach?
Hey, what's going on?
We were talking about you in the Norfolk football camp that we started, and some of the great things that we were able to do there with Sheriff McCabe.
Oh, yeah, we did some wonderful things, and really set some kids up for life. Some of them are now in the sheriff's office and working. So that's a great thing.
Right. We want to make sure they stay on the right side of the bars.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Stay between the lines. We say.
Well, this is a twofold pleasure here to have both of you on today. We were betting on Bonita, but now we got both of you here. That's a blessing.
Well, I guess we'll have to go for another hour.
Yes, we need to
No,
go
I'm
for
gonna let
another
y'all
hour.
have it because Daddy got some work things he's got to do. He got a schedule.
He's supposed to be retired, but he's not retired. He's still working and helping young people. And we actually want to start our own podcast similar to what you guys are doing, to help young athletes get to follow their dreams and get to the next level.
Wonderful.
Yeah,
so that's excellent.
You'll have to invite us on sometime so we can talk more about that.
Yeah, that would be great.
We will do that. Yeah. Yes, indeed.
Yeah.
Well, I'm gonna let y'all go.
Okay. All right, honey.
See you
Thanks for
in a
Good
little
stopping
seeing
bit.
you.
Take care.
Bonita, I wanted to mention, I put up Terrence Austin, being from South Carolina. He's too interested in the Robert Smalls book. And the reason I put that up because he and his wife, they have a bookstore, black owned and operated, called the Printed Word Bookstore in Churchland. So I'll put him in touch with you. He might want to make sure that that book is in his bookstore.
That would be wonderful. And maybe we could plan a book signing there.
That would be wonderful.
People to come.
Yeah, he would love that. He does a lot of that, so
yeah.
So I'll put you all together.
Excellent.
I think Colonel had something.
Okay.
Yeah, before I ask this last question, I got two comments. Bonita, you talked about Martin Luther King and how he brought other people together. And not to say this issue with this regime is all black and white, but Martin Luther King brought people together because he made a statement in one, and I'll paraphrase it. He talked about the roads and bridges that we all walk that need to be repaired or walked by all. And then the other thing too is we also traveled back and we talked about the money and how it's splitting up the smaller and smaller pieces of the pie. But if you peel back the onion, you look at how Elon Musk with his Doge, or Destroying Our Government Effectively committee, has now said they only save the government, and it's not really saving $450 million. I'm sorry, $150 million versus it's really cost because of the productivity and people leaving with the buyouts. It's cost the government 3 times as much of that money he says he saved. But you can also look at these robber barons. Since he's gotten access, he got a $450 million contract to with the State Department by itself to put these armored Tesla vehicles across the world that nobody really wanted. And his Starlink company has gotten the no bid contract to redo the communication system at TSA. Planes are falling out the sky now. We've had more wrecks than we've had in the last 10 years, and now you want to turn it over to a company that has no track record and by all practical means does not work and it's not there, but we're given no bid contracts. And now the Doge is looking at DOD contracts. And so they are just robbing, and Musk is just robbing us blindly. But let me circle back to what you're doing at Dominion Resources. And I'll make a disclaimer here too, because I am also a stockholder in Dominion Resources. Love the company, corporate responsibility and all that. But their Dominion Resources or Dominion Energy customer stock plan is a way to build wealth. And if you can you address that? Because I can tell you that, I've accumulated several thousand shares of that stuff, and I haven't paid my dividends. I haven't paid a utility bill in the last 10 years just because of my quarterly dividends. But can you explain how that works so we can, since you mentioned these young athletes and money, and this will be a segue into another show about institutional wealth, how that works?
Well, first of all, thank you so much for bringing up Dominion Energy stock. We are very proud of how well it has done over the years. Even when it dips, it's always going to come back, right? Because we're always going to need electricity, and we need more and more electricity. I'm not an expert about the stock side of it. I just know that I have some. I have some. And if people stop me in the grocery store to ask me, was I on the news? The second thing they ask me about the most is, are you going to let us know when the lights come back on after a storm? And the third thing they ask me about the most is our stock. Thanks so much for Dominion Energy stock. One person told me they bought like a share of Dominion Energy stock for her niece every year for her birthday. And by the time she was 18 years old, it paid for her full college education.
Mm-hmm.
So investing is important. You're absolutely right. We need more financial literacy in our community so we can see how we can grow wealth better. Oh gosh, you made me think about a couple of things I want to share before we run out of time. One of the community things that I really enjoy doing is Envisionly Grow. I'm on the board of Envisionly Grow, which is a nonprofit for girls and women. And our CEO, Dr. Angela Reddick, she bought the Mustard Seed Place in Portsmouth, which you all are probably familiar with. And it has been a wonderful, I bring that up, Colonel, because it's been a wonderful way that women and young people and all of the community, but especially women and young people, because we probably have the biggest deficiency of knowledge of financial literacy. She makes sure that we all learn about financial literacy. And the girls in her program that start, I think at like 11 years old, they start right before middle school. They become thousandaires before they get to high school, which I think is incredible. And so she's doing some wonderful things with her nonprofit and in partnership with the city of Portsmouth. And also at Dominion Energy, our stock did dip for a while, and so we had a big restructuring. Our CEO, Bob Blue, is brilliant and kind, and I'm just so proud to work for someone like him. It's one of the reasons why I still love working at Dominion Energy, because of his leadership. And with all the attacks on DEI, he stands by. Diversity is not just the right thing to do, but it's good for business. And I think that he is already making some great strides that have helped our stock grow. So just hang in there, because it's going to keep growing. We have wonderful projects like the Coastal Virginia Offshore Wind Project that's bringing a lot of opportunities to our area, a lot of job opportunities. I'm sure you all are familiar with that little project that we have 27 miles off the coast of Virginia Beach.
That's right.
We've got partnerships with almost every city in Hampton Roads in wonderful ways. At the Portsmouth Terminal, Marine Terminal, we have a monopile facility where that's where we've staged all the monopiles for all of the wind turbines, that they're like the base of the wind turbines that are going to provide energy for over 600,000 homes. In Chesapeake, we're about to do a partnership with Green Links in Chesapeake, which is investing almost $700 million in the area, and it's on the border of Chesapeake and Portsmouth, for a high voltage cable facility that's slated for completion in 2028. That's going to bring a lot more jobs. So we're just super excited about we call it CVAL for short, the Coastal Virginia Offshore Wind Project, and the transformative